This is You Vote UT 2009 coming to you straight from the Rocket Hall studio. Today we're going to take a quick look at the views of your UT future. And now, for the man with all the questions, here's your host, Phil Levering.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Phil Levering, hosting You Vote UT 2009. During the evening, we'll get to meet this year's candidates for student government president and vice president. Joining us first is Brad Davy and Andrew Gochenour. Thanks for joining us, guys.
No problem.
First question of the evening. You know, we kind of are in a tough economic times, and you will have some input into how budgeting is going to be moved around the university. What are some of the things that you want to attack in your ticket?
Well, you know, Andrew and I have gone into this with the understanding that there are budget cutbacks, and we are in a time of economic crisis. So Andrew and I are trying to offer alternative and unique ideas that don't throw money at problems because we don't have the money to throw. So we understand that we have to come up with solutions that are innovative enough to solve our problems and at the same time consider the lack of money that we're going to have to work with.
All right. Now, just to kind of make everybody aware of what's going on, what are some of the things that you want to tackle? You know, obviously there's a long list, and just kind of lay it out for us.
Sure.
I'll start with our major thing that we want to tackle is parking. You know, it's brought up every year. Everybody has a bunch of different ideas. But like he said, we offer something that's unique, and what that is, we want to implement a walking pass. And what that walking pass would be, it'd be substantially less than any commuter pass or dorm pass. And we work with local businesses to get discounts on shoes or bikes or boots for the winter months. Also, along with that walking pass, we want to implement a program that's called Share Bike Program. It's been implemented at Washington State University. It is completely funded by the State Department of Transportation. And what we like to do with that is have different pods set up all the way around campus. And all you have to do is swipe your Rocket card. It'll unlock a bike for you. And you'd be able to travel across campus, and the next person coming out of the dorm room would be able, or whatever building you were coming from, would be able to take that same bike and travel back across campus with the same bike that you just took. So,
all right. Now, as you've been listening to things to worry about for the student body, what has been one of the #1 concerns, and how are you going to go about and tackling that?
Well, I would say parking is obviously the first one, and then also community development, door street development. You know, there's always talk about how UT is not a traditional style campus. There's not many businesses around. There's not much for students to do. We really want to work with the College of Business to start a program that gives senior entrepreneur students an opportunity to develop a program which lets them implement, design, and then ultimately work in their own business, whether it be put in the student union or Rocket Hall or even across Door Street. That would increase our degrees worth. It would give our students a lot of entrepreneurial experience, and really would bring a more traditional style campus with businesses that students really want.
Okay. Now, you talked about the more worth to our degree.
Right.
You know, what is one of the concerns that you think that you're able to change that? I mean, obviously you'll have to worry about making it a more recognizable degree in spite of all the things that are going on in the College of Education. What is something that you can do as an active presidential ticket?
Sure.
I think what all our programs that we're trying to implement here is ultimately trying to take us to the next level. Right now we're at a Tier 4 University Division I, and we're trying to get to the next level. It'd be a Tier 3. And how to do that was just, like I said, be innovative and to come up with new ideas that would ultimately lead to taking us to the next level, which that alone, just going to that Tier 3 would make your degree that much more worthwhile.
Now, these programs that you're wanting to refer to and taking to the next level, what exactly are those programs that we think that can be expanded on?
As we said, parking and then community development. We've talked about adding a new fee to the student's account, which would also bring like another notable speaker or performance here to UT. Things like that may not seem like they add worth to your degree, but they do bring in students, the type of students that are lured in by other big-time universities, whether it be because of their education standards or because of hearsay and reputation. So we think that being more notable, being more recognized, whether it's for our education or whether it's for our programs, will ultimately lure better students in and then ultimately create a better degree for us all.
Okay. Well, any other closing thoughts you'd like to say and share with everybody else out there?
I think we're just looking to get everybody out to vote. Hopefully this year. We have 4 tickets So with that amount of tickets, I think we should hopefully hit a record amount of people getting out to vote this year. So I know it's been quite publicized by all the tickets. So like I said, I just hope to get the most amount of students out this year to vote. So.
All right. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. We will be right back with Mark Carter and Mark D'Apollo in just a moment. Stay tuned.
At the University of Toledo, you'll love the small classes and personal attention.
Great job on the paper.
Thanks. Choose from more than 140 degrees, from the sciences to the arts. Plus, UT offers exciting career opportunities. Cool, I just got that internship. And our campus is amazing.
See you at the game.
You know, UT fans are pretty awesome too. See you at the game and see you at the University of Toledo.
Welcome back to You Vote UT 2009. Our next guests are Mark Carter and Mark D'Apollo. Thanks for joining us, guys. My first question for you of the evening is the University of Toledo and the city student friendly? And if not, what can we do to make it more friendly to students?
I think number one, that you have to make the city understand what our role is in the city and how important we are to the city. This community brings millions and I think even billions of dollars to the Toledo community. What I envision is where I come from in Detroit. Wayne State has an essential relationship with the city of Detroit. The city of Detroit knows how important its students and its role in the community is, and I think that if we can get to that point in Toledo, we go a long way.
Oh, okay. Now talking about the money, you kind of mentioned that. Obviously a big concern is making sure the students get their grants that they need and students get the scholarship opportunities that they need. How are we going to make sure that those opportunities are going to be available to us?
Well, our campaign has really worked hard to go out after federal stimulus money. I myself have gone to Columbus to lobby our state legislature to direct more of that to UT, to hold the tuition freeze. So tuition is something we are very concerned with. You know, we want to bring the stimulus money here to fund the capital projects so that tuition money is not being spent on that. But we also want to make sure that our tuition is frozen. We've spent a long time down at the state legislature working on that, sending letters and doing different things of that nature. We want to make sure that that's held there for the next 2 years at least.
Okay. And another money question. Obviously, the bookstore has been a big concern in terms of lowering costs. What is one of the steps that you see it could be necessary making that happen, and how are we going to put that into action?
Well, in terms of the cost of textbooks, I think one of the things we need to encourage is professors to turn in their book orders on time, even not on time, but before they're due, because I've seen a lot of students who have gone to the bookstore, can't sell their textbooks back, and the excuse is because that their professor hasn't turned in their books. Textbooks are going to be expensive. Their object is to make money. But I think that if we keep developing solutions as student leaders, then we'll go a long way.
Okay. Now we're just going to kind of move it along a little bit in a different direction. I kind of touched on a couple of things that you were familiar with. Let's talk about some of the other things you want to tackle as an administration. Just kind of list those out for me.
One of the things we want to see that student services are reformed. There's a general dissatisfaction that we've seen during our campaign from students on services like parking and dining and information technology. And we want to see the administration highlight some of those issues. I sit on the Dean of Students Policy Review Committee, and we're meeting this next Friday actually to discuss some of those issues. Also, what we want to see done is we want to become student leaders who inspire the students. I think there's been a lack of inspiration from students on this campus in their student government. We would represent this entire student body. And I think that there needs to be a leader in that office who can inspire students to want to make a difference at the university.
Okay, so student services is a big thing you said. Obviously, this seems to be one of the higher things you worry about, correct? Okay, so how can we make the student services programs in general more effective in serving the students and making them more involved?
Well, that's something I've spent a long time on with Rocket Solutions Central. I sat on a committee throughout this year to improve that. We developed a new web portal that is hopefully easier to use. That was the goal. And in turn, that should reduce the number of people waiting in line at RSC by being able to self-service in a quicker, more efficient manner. But also, we've developed this phone system where they can actually call in, and rather than wait on hold and become irritated, you can select, I think it's a menu option, and then it will call you back in a set amount of time. It gives you an estimated time. It'll say, like, 20 minutes from now, we're going to give you a call back. Press 2 to activate. So that's something that we've really worked on, because our time's very valuable, and the administration needs to understand that. I joke with people sometimes, the most important thing I've learned since I got to college was how to function within a bureaucracy, and that should not be what we get out of our education. We should be able to work hard in our classes, not to receive our student services.
Very good answers. Any other closing thoughts you'd like to share with everybody?
I just encourage students to vote. We want you to vote for us, but also we just want you to vote. Our power is only as strong, and our power and influence is only as strong as the amount of students who take part in student government elections and student government as a whole. So vote March 23rd to the 26th.
All right. Well, thank you very much, guys. We will be right back with our next candidates after this.
Thank you.
When I was little, my grandma took me to the Dairy Queen, right? She bought me a banana split. And I was kind of a little messy when I was little, all right? Then the bee got in the car. My grandma was like, baby, don't swing at the bee, because the bee won't hit you. Don't swing at it. I didn't swing, and guess what happened, Grandma? The bee stung me. I swing at bees because they'll sting you anyway, because they're ruthless and they have no soul.
Thanks for staying tuned. Our next student government candidates are Krystal Weaver and Rachael Wise. Thank you, ladies, for joining us. My first question for you of the day is that I've heard you mention about the student general fee and how you need to make students aware of where the money's going. How do you get this to happen, and what's wrong with the current policy, and what can we do to fix it?
Absolutely. I'm going to take this, actually. This is something I'm really passionate about. This actually started to be an important issue for me last year. I sat on the student general fee committee. That's a committee made up of 5 students that allocate and suggest a recommendation of where they think that students would best use the student general fee money. And what happened on that committee was we made our recommendations, we assessed all the areas that the money goes towards, and we made our recommendation to the administration. And the administration actually changed what we recommended, didn't tell us, passed it on, made it official, and we had no say in that. To me, that was a terrible disservice to the student body. Basically, the students had very little say in what happened. So I wrote to President Jacobs, I met with senior leadership, and they promised me that it wouldn't happen again. But I want to take the extra step and make sure that it doesn't happen again. So what I want to do is split up the general fee. Instead of having one $555 general fee, I want to split it up into where that money goes, so that you'll have a separate fee for each service that is funded by the general fee. The student rec center, student activities, the student union, athletics, things like that. I can't reduce the fee. Students can't do that. It's just unfeasible, and really those services need to be funded. But what I want to do by splitting it up, it'll make the administration more accountable for how that money is being spent, because every student will know exactly how their money is being spent. And what it also will do is empower the student body, where if we decide as a student body that we want a service to be bigger and better, if we want to make an addition onto the student rec center or renovate the student union, if we decide that's something that we want, we can vote on that as a student body, decide to raise specifically that fee, and then our money will go directly where we want it to go. Right now, if we wanted to do something like that, we'd have to raise the entire fee, and then the administration would have a say in how that money was allocated. So it'll empower the student body to spend their money how they want to.
Okay, well said. Another question, kind of along the money thing, is we know that the textbook prices are kind of high right now, yes. And another thing students want something to be done about. What is something that you see that can be done to fix that, and how are we going to actually put that into action?
Yeah. I think we have something that it's called like a textbooks union or textbook trading forum, and it's really essentially just kind of a blog where students can get together and say, I have an accounting 1010 book for sale, I'll sell it for $20, and if anybody wants to do so, then they can kind of write them back and let them know, I'm in the market for that book, and I'll pay you the $20, and let's meet in the student union and kind of exchange it. it's really kind of, it could be an informal thing such as that. And that way, because a lot of the books that we use here are University of Toledo editions. And if the bookstore isn't buying those back, you're stuck with those books. And vice versa. If you don't want to buy from the bookstore because they're too expensive for University of Toledo editions, you don't have any options.
Another thing that we want to do that I've been talking with the Vice President of Information Technology about is letting students get those the books that are online available to them, that they can buy books online and then they can view them online. Another thing that kind of goes along with that is a idea about a virtual computer lab. And what that is if you have a class where you need a specific program for that class, and that program is only available in a computer lab, they want to make those programs available to you at home so that you log into your MyUT account or something along those lines, and you can work on that program from your home.
All right. Now, just listening in terms of what students have had to say and the concerns in the university, what have you heard, and what is one of the more important things that you want to attack?
I think the biggest complaint out of anyone from the student body, and anyone could verify this, is parking. Everyone has a problem with parking. Just today, I went in 3 different lots and ended up parking on the other side of campus from where I wanted to be, and missed what I was going to because of parking was such an issue. I think every student feels that problem. 2 things that we want to do. The first thing is institute a scholarship program for students who are willing to give up their pass to walk or bike to school. What that would be is they wouldn't purchase a parking pass. They would verify that they're not going to do that, and we would award them with probably a $250 scholarship. The money would come from auxiliary services, who controls the parking. And then the other thing is there's tennis courts by Savage Arena where the courts are dirty because they're flooded all the time and things like that. So we're thinking that it would be a great idea to turn that into an additional parking area and then open up the other tennis courts to the student body to use. And I've talked with the parking committee about this, the director of auxiliary services, and they think that it's a really good idea and a good solution to pursue and look into.
Okay. And each solution really has kind of 2 benefits. The first one, by people giving up their parking passes, they're driving less, it's eco-friendly, and you get the parking. And then the second one, students get to use nicer tennis courts, and they get more parking. So.
Okay. Just any other things you'd like to share with the students, something that you stand for, just real briefly?
Something that is really important to us is providing services to student organizations that have been taken away from them. That being student organization websites. In the past, the university provided web space for all student organizations to have a website for to advertise. They had to take that away because of technical issues and there wasn't enough server space, things like that. We think that that's an essential thing for providing information to the student body. By having all the separate websites, it's hard to find things and it's hard to locate those, and they're less effectively used. So what we'd like to do is use the student government website to buy that server space and provide student organizations with website space free of charge to them so that students know exactly where to go to find out information. If they already have their own website, we'll link it to it and make sure that they can get that advertising.
Well, great. Thank you so much for your time. We're going to be right back with our last but certainly not least tickets.
Your UT bookstore wants to provide you with a wide selection of used textbooks for next semester. To do this, we need our campus community's cooperation. Faculty must commit to reusing a textbook as soon as possible. We encourage students to sell their used books back. Students will receive 50% of the original sale price for books being reused next semester.
The more used books, the more money you'll save next semester. Together, we can make lower textbook prices a reality.
Welcome back one final time to You Vote UT 2009. Joining me are our final guests of the evening, Kristina, Karbula, and Samuel Harden. Thanks for joining us for the evening, guys.
Thanks for having us.
All right, now my first questions are I'm going to have a series of questions. My first is, you both have mentioned that you have 7 years of experience in different colleges and universities. How is this helping you be prepared for this position, and what are you going to do that is going to build off of that knowledge?
Well, it's definitely always easier the second time you do something. We both of us have had previous experience being student government presidents at our respective places. I was president locally at Owens Community College, and she actually started a student government at her college.
And in addition to working with another student government, and it brings in a comparative experience, but both of us have also been active in UT student government, and I'm currently serving as the student body vice president. And the positions of vice president and president are very much the same, in that the duties are shared and the job mirrors the other.
Great, leadership experience, very good. My next question is that, you know, there's always a lot of things that you want to tackle, you know, when you have a leadership position. What are some of the things that you both have on the agenda, and what are some of the top priorities that you would like to get going here?
Well, we have an initiative as part of our UT 2010 initiative that's on our platform to help the university finish projects that they've left incomplete. For example, the library. The first floor of the Carlson Library looks amazing, but you venture up the elevator a couple floors and it's not quite as pretty anymore. So we really want to put the pressure on the administration to start finishing some of the projects before we start investigating new ones. But at the same time, there's reoccurring problems that the student body faces every year. For example, safety and parking. They've probably been on the UT SG ballots and platforms since 1950 or 52 or before that. So things like that we also want to tackle this year.
Yep. Another thing that's really important to us this year is making sure communications are there between student government and other student organizations. That's something that's very important to us. We want to work much, much better this year with the other organizations like the BSU, the LSU, Spectrum, other major organizations on campus.
Okay, now let's kind of move into the money talks here. You know, obviously there's always a lot of cuts on campus, especially during these times. You're going to have a say in what programs are going to get cut, what things are going to get the attention. What in your minds are the most important things to stay? What are some things that we can maybe do without to save costs for the university?
I think it's important to understand that the student body, president and vice president, get a seat on the committee for finance and strategy in the senior level administration. So that's a chance to meet with Scott Scarborough and Dr. Jacobs and the rest of the senior leadership team every 2 weeks. In those meetings, they've committed to making budget cuts that affect the student body the least. So as we continue to face budget cuts and want to do more things on campus, we want to create all these programs, all the candidates want to create programs, it's going to come to trade-offs. We're going to have to trade a program that maybe isn't working as well or is underutilized or underserving the student body for something that may work better.
Another big part of that is actually, we've been down to Columbus a couple times this year so far, is going down there and making sure that the money is going to be there. Because by advocating for students, we can go down there and ensure more money is going to be there. And Governor Ted Strickland has been very, very supportive of students. Hopefully it will maintain that and we can keep the tuition freezes where they are. Okay.
Now, we've had a lot of chances to talk to students, obviously, throughout this campaigning. What is one of the biggest concerns that you've heard, and what is something that you would like to do to tackle that?
Well, just tonight, actually, we attended the Safety Forum, and it's the first of a series that we would like to initiate, whether elected or not. The topic was safety, and we did a lot of discussion of safety within Bancroft Hills especially. And that's something that I think is ongoing, and it's always going to be there as long as we share the neighborhood with traditional residents. In addition to that, parking is always an issue. It's an issue at every campus. So that's something, I mean, we're not going to make the problem go away, obviously, in a year or maybe even in 5 or 10 or 20 years, but there are certain things we can do to relieve the problem.
Yeah. Ironically, the thing that we hear most often when you go around talking about student government is, what is student government? What does student government do? A big thing that next year that we really want to focus on, kind of the feedback that we got, is we need to go out and do a better job of getting to everybody and let them know what we do and then getting them involved in what we do.
Okay. Now, just one final thought. Do you have anything you'd like to share, really, just a closing word?
Yep. I'm a Toledo resident. I've been born here, raised here. Service is something that I've always wanted to do. It's something I've always been a part of. And I really hope that I can be elected vice president next year so we can continue service here on campus.
Yep, and there's a lot of unfinished business that Greg and I have left, as any administration would. There's a lot of projects I would like the opportunity to finish up and continue. So hopefully the student body will give me a chance to do that.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. That's all the time we have, but don't forget to vote March 23rd through the 26th at myut.utoledo.edu. I'm Philip Levering, and thanks for watching.